Now let's talk about clocks. First, the basic point is that an MCU operates in sync with a clock. A clock is essential for CPU instruction execution and peripheral operation, like GPIO, UART, and ADC. So the way you configure the clock and its speed affect the overall system speed, peripheral operation, and configuration values. A higher clock frequency lets the CPU process instructions faster. The STM32 F767 runs at up to 216 MHz. This is the STM32 F767 block diagram. As we discussed earlier, this block is the ARM Cortex-M7 core, and everything else shown here is a peripheral. The core and peripherals exchange data through a bus. As I mentioned, those bus transfers are synchronized to a clock. Here, AHB1 can run at up to 216 MHz. It branches into APB2 and APB1, so the core can exchange data with the peripherals shown here, while GPIO uses AHB1 directly. Now let's look at how to configure each of these clocks. Each module or peripheral can divide the clock frequency with a prescaler. For example, if the input frequency is 100 MHz and the prescaler divides it by 2, the module runs at 50 MHz. Here's what that means. In the diagram below, suppose the external clock is 100 MHz. There's an internal prescaler. If you set it to divide by 2, the final output frequency is 50 MHz. So when you configure each module, you need to set the prescaler correctly. We'll cover the prescaler settings in the lab. Now, STM32 devices have several types of clock sources. The main ones are HSI, HSE, LSI, LSE, and the PLL, which raises the frequency. Let's look at each one. First is HSE, the high-speed external clock. HSE is high speed, using an external crystal or clock signal. HSE uses a crystal or ceramic resonator from 4 to 26 MHz, and you need to provide the external circuit. You connect the crystal to the oscillator input and oscillator output pins. The board I'm using has a 16 MHz external crystal. We'll cover this in more detail in the circuit lesson, but you need to connect the CL1 and CL2 ceramic capacitors correctly. This board uses 10 picofarad capacitors. Next is HSI, the high-speed internal clock. It has an internal RC oscillator. It generates a 16 MHz clock, which can serve directly as the system clock or as the PLL source. HSE can also be the PLL source. Because HSI is built into the MCU chip, it doesn't need any additional circuit design. That reduces both cost and board area. The disadvantage is that it's less accurate than an external crystal. So there's a trade-off between accuracy and cost. There's one point you need to remember, because we'll use it later when we configure the registers. This is right after the MCU resets, when you turn the power off and back on. At that point, HSI is the system clock used by default. HSI is the default. If the external HSE crystal fails, we can switch to the internal HSI and use that instead. Next is LSE, the low-speed external clock. Its frequency is 32.768 kHz. Unlike the previous clocks, which were in megahertz, this one runs at a much lower frequency. Like HSE, LSE connects to two pins, the oscillator 32 input pin and the oscillator 32 output pin. We won't cover the RTC, or real-time clock here. LSE is commonly used to run the RTC with low power consumption. There's also LSI, the low-speed internal clock. It's a very low frequency, 32 kHz clock generated by an internal RC oscillator. And like HSI, since it uses an internal RC oscillator, it's relatively less accurate. In this course, we'll configure clocks using HSE and HSI. For details on LSE and LSI, please refer to the reference manual or datasheet. Next is the PLL. It takes HSI or HSE as its input and generates a higher frequency. The PLL output can range from 24 to 216 MHz. To do that, we need to configure several registers. I've brought up this screen so we can see the clock configuration more clearly. This is the clock configuration screen you can see when you use the HAL driver in STM32 QBID and generate code by clicking through the options. We won't configure this screen directly because we'll set the registers ourselves. I brought it up because it's a useful diagram. First, here's the system clock mux. It selects one of three sources, HSI, HSE, or the PLL clock, for use as the system clock. You can ignore the values shown here for now. This signal then goes into the AHB prescaler. When you click this menu, you can use the prescaler to divide the frequency received from the system clock. The output is called H-clock. For the STM32 F767, the maximum H-clock frequency shown here is 216 MHz. In the datasheet, you can see AHB1 branch into APB1 and APB2 at this point. This is the same point in the clock tree. The AHB frequency branches into APB1 and APB2, and each one has its own prescaler. Right now, the clock is 16 MHz and both APB prescalers are set to 1, so P-clock1 and P-clock2 are also 16 MHz. Later, we'll raise H-clock to 216 MHz. P-clock1 and P-clock2 max out at 54 and 108 MHz respectively. We'll also use the PLL, so we'll use its output frequency as the system clock. Back on this slide, as I mentioned earlier, the PLL can generate up to 216 MHz. But generating that 216 MHz clock requires several register settings. I'll explain each part first, and then we'll work through the code together in the lab. This is the RCC control register. First, stop the PLL by clearing the PLL on bit in this register. Next, check that the PLL ready bit is 0 to confirm that the PLL has stopped. Then configure the PLL using the RCC PLL configuration register. Then restart the PLL by setting the PLL on bit back to 1. Finally, check that the PLL ready bit is 1 to confirm successful configuration and operation. We'll cover these details later. In the overall block diagram, HSI or HSE can feed the PLL and will use the PLL output as the system clock. Next comes the AHB prescaler. Its output then goes through the APB1 and APB2 prescalers to produce those bus frequencies. HSI is the internal clock fixed at 16 MHz. With HSE and an external crystal, the input frequency can be as high as 26 MHz. The PLL can use HSI or HSE as its source to generate the system clock. LSI and LSE are the low-frequency clock sources. Let me go over the clock setup sequence once more. Immediately after the MCU resets, HSI is the default system clock. Next, set the H-clock prescaler in the RCC configuration register to 1. With 16 MHz HSI and an H-clock prescaler of 1, the core runs at 16 MHz. Next, we'll switch from HSI to another clock source. But before we do that, the current clock must be stable. That means checking that the corresponding ready bit in the RCC control register is set to 1. Once we've confirmed that the current clock is stable, we'll switch the system clock. Our target in this configuration is to set the AHB1 bus clock to 216 MHz and set both APB bus clocks to 54 MHz. Here's one point to watch with timers. If the APB prescaler is 1, the timer clock equals P clock. But if the prescaler isn't 1, as in our setup, the timer clock is twice P clock. With P clock 1 at 54 MHz, the timer runs at 108 MHz. In the diagram on the right, we'll connect a 16 MHz external crystal to the oscillator input and oscillator output pins. The 16 MHz HSE enters this path, but the system starts on HSI. HSI is the 16 MHz internal RC oscillator. Then we'll feed HSE into the PLL and use its output to set the system clock to 216 MHz. This process may look complicated, but once we go through the register settings step by step in the lab, it should be easier to understand and follow.